Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Popo here bringing you guys a new video, and I am officially back bringing you guys new Pokemon content. We're going to be doing at least 2 videos a week. That's going to be Mondays and Wednesdays, but there are weeks that I will bring you guys more videos. I have a few in the works. I'm also back to streaming on Twitch, so if you want to join a live stream where we'll be doing 99% of the time Pokemon content, you can go click the link down below and drop me a follow, and you'll know when I go live, and come and hang out. It's a good time. We're all chill there. But today's video, we're going to be talking about all of the new returning Pokemon that are on Cerebi. I know there are some that are returning that aren't here, but we're not going to talk about those. No spoilers. And I'm just going to talk about how those are going to change the meta and what I think the meta is going to look like and stuff like that. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing a video where we go over some of the teams that I think will be good using the new Pokemon or returning Pokemon, of course. That one might have some spoilers, so just be warned. Going into that one, I will warn you at the beginning of that video. But without further ado, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright, and the first Pokemon we're going to start with here is Venusaur. Now, Venusaur was really good in Sword and Shield because Sun was pretty decent, and with Groudon, it was able to outspeed things, put things to sleep. But now there's Hisui and Lilligant, who's really strong because it also gets that fighting type coverage that allows it to hit a lot of the things that are in the meta right now. So it's going to be really a battle to see which one of the Pokemon is going to see play, though I think Venusaur is at a disadvantage just because it has 80 base speed, so it's slower than the Hisui and Lilligant, which is obviously not as good when you want to be as fast as possible, put things to sleep. It is possible it will see play, though. It is a lot bulkier, especially with that special defense, and with Terrestrialization, you can Terrestrialize into Water type or something like that, which will then, you know, make you good against those Fire types. You can run Terra Blast. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. I just don't know if it'll be as good as Hisui and Lilligant, but we'll have to see. I think it's a decent Pokemon, though, and I think people will try it out, especially right at the beginning, because Venusaur is a fan favorite as well. I really love Venusaur. He's my favorite of all the starter Pokemon, so, you know, I'll be throwing one on a team. Also, that charm set that went around for a little bit, I was trying a charm set myself. It wasn't the one that other people were using, but it seems like it could be interesting. Again, you know, physical types are very popular right now, so being able to lower the damage output of physical types could be a huge advantage for Venusaur. So next we have Blastoise. Blastoise, also a fan favorite, but not very good Pokemon. It did have a little bit of a run in Sword and Shield, where it used Gigantamax to use the Cannonade to do damage in between turns. Really strong. All 3 of the starter Pokemon have that, the Gen 1 starter Pokemon. But Blastoise has never really been a good competitive Mon. Its stats are just so middle of the road. It has really good defenses with an okay HP, but it just doesn't have any damage output. It could be, you could do some support stuff with it because it does get stuff like Helping Hand and Icy Wind, but it's always just going to be like a Pokemon that people are going to use for fun or because it's their favorite Pokemon, more than a Pokemon that's going to be a meta call, I think. Next we have Vileplume, terrible Pokemon. It does get Chlorophyll. It's just worse than Lilligant and Venusaur. I don't see anybody using this unless you want to try to challenge yourself, like, oh, I'm going to get Venusaur to Master Ball or whatever like that. Then, yeah, absolutely, use Venusaur Vileplume, and see what you can do. I think it'd be interesting. The same goes for Bellossom. They're pretty much the same Pokemon. Once again, Chlorophyll, but they have 50 base speed, so they're never going to be fast enough to really put an impact. Yeah. Next, we have Dugtrio, which has never been a good Pokemon either. He has 110 base attack and 110 base speed, but his defenses are absolutely terrible. His move pool's not that great, and he doesn't get any good abilities, so he's just never really seen any usage, and I think that's going to continue. We have Dugong, and I think Dugong could be really interesting because of that snow boost. It does get a boost to its defenses now, and it has actually pretty decent defenses with 80 and 95 with a 90 HP. So it's a pretty bulky Pokemon. It doesn't really have any speed or attack stat. This is the 70 over in attack is just wasted. But what you can do is sheer cold stuff with Icy Wind and Encore and stuff like that. It also gets Ice Shard if you want to do a little bit more damage, and Aqua Jet if you know you're up against those Hisui and Arcanines. That could be a really good meta choice for a priority move to just finish off with using your support Pokemon. So who knows? I think Dugong, people are gonna try it. I think I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was gonna be after I looked at its move pool, and I think it also gets Perish Song too. So we could see some bulky Ice Perish Song teams. Who knows? Who knows? I'm looking at you, Leaf. Next we got Executor, and I don't want to talk about regular Executor because I don't think it's gonna be very good. It does get Chlorophyll. I just don't think it's going to be good enough. I think Harvest is just better anyways. But I do want to talk about Alolan Executor. Alolan Executor is a really cool Pokemon. I did really well with it, and I think Players Cup 4, and I used it next to a Regirock. There's another returning Pokemon that plays very similar to Regirock, and I used it to set up Trick Room. It also had Sleep Powder. Now, these are really hard moves to get on it, and well, the Trick Room's not, but the Sleep Powder is you have to have an Executor or an Execute that has it from Gen 7. So it's really hard, and to get a 0 speed one, also you have to bring it over from Gen 7. So there's a lot to actually getting one. I got lucky, and I got mine from Pokemon Go. I traded it over from Pokemon Go. It just happened to have 0 speed. I had like 10 of them or something. I put them all in. Just happened to get 0 speed. My boy Wheezy, he actually had a Sleep Powder Execute, so he was able to trade that. I evolved it, put them in together, and it transfers the actual move. That's how it works now. Now, it might be easier since you can give any Pokemon that and send it over. So it's probably going to be 100 times easier to get Sleep Powder on it, but you run those, and with the 45 base speed, he has okay defenses, but he has a really good special attack. He actually has really good attack as well, if you want to go physical, but special attack, he gets really good attacks. He also gets Bulldoze, so you can set off weakness policies. He's just, I think, a really good Pokemon and people aren't really looking at, and I'm definitely going to be using my one that I used in Players Cup 4, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Next we have Hitmonlee. He's a terrible Pokemon. He has Unburden. He has okay speed for Unburden, but he has no defense, no HP. His attack is pretty good, his special defense is pretty good, but we know it's a very physically heavy meta right now, so Iron Hand just eats this thing, Flutter Mane just eats this thing, no reason to use it. Now Hitmonchan is a little bit more interesting, still terrible Pokemon, but he does get Iron Fist Bullet Punch, so he could potentially put some pressure on Flutter Mane if he, Steel Terrors or anything, and his defenses are better. He has 79, 110, still the 50, and only 105 now, and a little bit less speed. So he's still not great, but he is better than Hitmonlee in my opinion. Next we have Hitmontop though. Now Hitmontop has been a popular Pokemon in VGC for a long time, won World Championship. But Intimidate is just so strong, but there's going to be some really good Intimidators. We still have Hisui and Arcanine, and then we're getting the good old Incineroar in. But I think one thing that sets Hitmontop apart from them is the fact that Fighting is actually a really good type. And with Fake Out, Fighting, Intimidate, and also being able to use Clear Amulet to stop himself from getting intimidated, he might see some usage against like Hisui and Arcanine teams, because he'll just be able to counter the Hisui and Arcanine, intimidate it, and then put a lot of pressure on it with close combat or something like that. He also gets like a triple axle and a couple other, moves that could be beneficial. I believe he also gets coaching. I could be wrong about that, but I think he gets coaching, which could be useful if you're trying like a support set and you just want to go with some coaching and next to something that's pretty slow, maybe a Ting-Lu or something like that, and just get some boost on him. So next we have Rhyperior, and this is the Pokemon I'm saying that could be really good with Alolan Executor, because it goes for the Bulldoze, gets the weakness policy off. He has a huge 140 base attack, with weakness policy, that is a ton. 115 HP is really good. 130 defense, so he's going to be eating that bulldoze pretty easily. Only 55 special defense, which does worry me because Fluttermane is so prevalent, and only 40 speed, so he's great in Trick Room. He gets okay coverage of moves. He gets single target ground moves. He gets, you know, Earthquake, so he can hit both targets. He's just a really good Pokemon, and I think we'll see some of it. I don't know how well it's going to do, and if it even replaces something like Ursaluna, but yeah, I think it's decent with Terra especially. Next we have Magmortar, not a good Pokemon. If Magmar gets back Follow Me, maybe we can see Magmar again being used with that Eviolite, because of course Follow Me is always going to be good, but Magmortar is not going to see any usage. He has good special attack, and that's really it. Okay, special defense. His coverage is okay, but he's just not good enough. You know, Flame Body, Vital Spirit, they're not great. You know, he's a Mungus counter, I guess, but they're just not great. Next we have Lapras. Lapras has a chance. If you guys remember from Sword and Shield, there was Lapdog, which was him plus Zacian, and he could set up the Aurora Veil using his G-Max move, but he doesn't get that anymore. He still gets Aurora Veil, but he does get the boost off of the snow, like we talked about with Dugong as well. 80 defense, so that's decent. 95 special defense, 130 HP stat. I think he's just better than Dugong. He also gets, you know, he gets Parasong. 85 special attack, also better than Dugong. He's a little bit slower than Dugong though, but he just gets so many better moves. He also gets stuff like Fissure, and he gets Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is really good, of course. He gets Thunderbolt, so he gets a lot of coverage moves. Icy Wind, of course. He gets Life Dew, which could be really good, and he can also finish off with an Ice Shard or a Sheer Cold. So I think we could see some Lapras play. I think it's going to be a really anti-meta pick, and it's going to make Snow teams pretty good, because I think he could replace what Articuno was doing, but do a little bit different, especially with that Perish Trap mode that could be on there. Though Fluttermane is a difficult situation for that. We'll have to see how that goes, and Goldango as well is going to be pretty good against that team. So, but I think Lapras will definitely see some play with Terastallization. It could be really interesting, and I really like Lapras. I've always liked Lapras. Next, I have Meganium. I don't think it's going to be any good. It has Leaf Guard, but in the sun, it's just going to take more damage. You can Terastallize away from it, I guess. It has 100 defense, 100 special defense. Everything else is in the 80s, so like its stats are decent. It's not bad stat-wise. It also gets like Leech Seed and stuff, but I just don't think it has the oomph, and it definitely doesn't have any damage output, so you're never going to see this Pokemon being able to damage your opponent more than just kind of sitting there, setting up screens, putting up, you know, some Leech Seeds, maybe trapping them in with a Gardevoir or something. Not Gardevoir. I can't, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, with Shadow Tag, and but I just don't think it's gonna be good enough. I don't think it's gonna be good enough. There's way better Pokemon that can do similar things and just plays the role a lot better. But I think Leaf will also be trying to make this one work. Next we have Feraligatr. Feraligatr does get Sheer Force, and it has a 105 attack, so it's not great. Defense is okay. Speed's not very good. HP is okay. It could do something. I don't think it's ever going to be any good. It does get some good coverage moves. It does get fighting moves. Gets ground moves, ghosts, but I just don't think it'll ever be good. As much as I like Feraligatr, I just think he's terrible. Next we have Skamori. He's going to be terrible once as well. Sturdy is decent. He gets Tailwind, I believe. And if he doesn't on here, I think he does now because it's a TM, but yeah, I don't think he does on here. He gets Faints, but he has 140 defense, only 70 special defense on a 65 HP, no attack stat, not really any speed. He's just worse than Corviknight. He's just worse than Corviknight. Alright, Smeargle. If anybody played back in X and Y era of the game, you will love Smeargle. Luckily, he doesn't get Dark Void anymore, though I think he's gonna still have a place. He can get Fake Out, he can get Spore, Spiky Shield. He gets a lot of things, and there's a lot of versatility to him, especially with something like Moody. But he can also do an attack now. I know his attack is only base 20, but he does have Technician. Population Bomb. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Spore Population Bomb. You know, I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there, boys. But Smeargle, I think he's still going to be good. I think he will be relevant. I just don't think he's going to be the Mon he used to be. And we didn't have him for the whole last generation, so it's hard to tell if he's still going to be good. And there's a lot of strong Pokemon. I think we could see Sheer Cold on him, and, you know, in something else maybe, and just trying to hit for one-hit KOs, sporing things, of course, fake-outing things, just able to set up. We can even see Trick Room variants. I think there's a lot that Smeargle can do, and it'll be interesting to see if he does any of it. Raikou is a rough one. Its stats aren't the greatest. It has really good speed. Its defense isn't that bad. It's kind of bad. Its special defense is really good. Its special attack is meh. Its moves aren't super great. I don't know if Rising Voltage is coming back. If it does, maybe, but there's not really anybody to set Electric Terrain, so you have to manually do it. Eerie Impulse is always going to be good. He gets like Discharge and stuff like that. Of course, Thunder. He gets Extreme Speed, so you can do some Extreme Speed stuff maybe, but his attack's not really that high, so it could just be a finishing move. Meh. Entei, on the other hand, let's look at Entei. 115 attack, 115 of the HP. His special defense isn't that great, but you usually use Assault Vest on him. And Sword and Shield, he actually saw a lot of play with Eruption. We see, which is only on this 90 special attack, his defense is 85 and speed is 100, so Entei's a lot better of a Pokemon. He gets a lot of coverage moves. Like, he gets like Scorching Sands for no reason. And he also gets that extreme speed, and he gets that Sacred Fire, which with Terrestrialization, you can go into normal, or you can go into extra fire. He has the inner focus, so he can't be intimidated, he can't be faked out. He's really, really strong. I think Entei is going to see a lot of play. Will it be as good as some of the other Pokemon out there? Will it be as good as Dragonite? I don't think so, but I think we will see this Pokemon because it does have a little bit of an edge to what Dragonite can do. It's also not weak to Flutter Mane, which is a huge advantage. We'll see. I think I'm gonna try when it drops, and we'll see how good it is. Next we have Suicune. So we got the 100 HP, really good 115 defenses, decent special attack, and an okay speed stat. This thing gets a lot of moves, as you can see down here, Scald. So it'll be interesting. I don't know where it is now. It'll be interesting to see if he still gets Scald, because we know a lot of Pokemon did lose Scald. But he also gets Tailwind. And he gets Inner Focus. So you can, you know, run an Inner Focus, Tailwind, Calm Mind, Scald plus, you know, Blizzard or whatever you want to do moveset on Suicune. I think it's a really good Pokemon. I think it's going to see some play. Yeah, Suicune, decent. I think it's really decent. We have Sceptile. He does have Unburden. With 120 base speed, so nothing is outspeeding this guy. Even if you have Choice Scarf, I believe, and I could be wrong. No, I'm pretty sure. If you have Choice Scarf max speed Flutter Mane, I think we still outspeed. But only 105, 65 in 70 isn't very good. If I remember correctly, his move pool is kind of meh as well. He gets a lot of grass attacks, but he doesn't really have too much coverage. He gets a couple of fighting attacks, but he gets Dual Chomp now, I guess, which could be useful, but I just don't think he's going to be any good on Burden. There's already better on Burden users, in my opinion. So I just think he's going to get put to the wayside. People really like this Pokemon, though, so if you're a fan of Sceptile, I think you could try to make it work. I've seen worse. Next we have Blaziken. Speed Boost Blaziken, of course, is is a Pokemon that has been used before. Only 80 base speed, but that's going to get pumped up. A lot of his stats are wasted in the special attack because he has 70 to both defenses and 120 attack. 120 attack is decent. It could be worse, but there's better fire Pokemon in the game. Hisuian Arcanine is just way better than this, even though he does have the fighting coverage. Flutter Mane just hits him neutrally now. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't do it, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe he'll be used. I really, really don't see it. Incineroar is just better as well, so I just don't see him being used, but who knows. We got Swampert, and Swampert's one biggest disadvantage is its ability is just so bad. It gets damp. Swift Swim would have fit with the other two, as on Burden, increases speed. Speed boost, obviously, increases speed, and then Swift Swim would increase speed. And that's why his Mega was so good, right? Is because he had that. But with 60 speed, no. Defense is 90, no. His attack is 110, okay. His HP is 100, okay. Gets hit with a single leaf, he's dead. So, still unusable unless for some reason these abilities get changed, but I haven't heard word that they are going to get changed, so who knows. Next we have Flygon. Flygon, its 4 times weakness to ice is always going to be rough for it, but its stats also don't help out. With only 100 base attack, 80s for everything else, and 100 base speed, it's just probably the worst dragon that you could use. It's still weak to Flutter Mane, but it also, like I said, has that 4 times weak to ice, so you're gonna have to terrestrialize it into steel type to get rid of both of those. And you do have levitate, so you're not weak to him anymore. But I don't know. Incineroar still exists, so I just don't see this Pokemon being very good. Next we have Metagross, and Metagross is a very interesting one. Of course, clear body, very good. Means the stats can't be lowered. And so it doesn't need a clear amulet, so it can run pretty much any other of the stuff. He also gets Bullet Punch, which with his base 135 attack, I'm pretty sure kills most Flutter Manes. But he also has 130 defense, 90 special defense, only 70 speed, so he can be used as a Trick Room on if you really need to with minus speed and stuff. And okay HP, being at 80 there. He gets quite a lot of moves. He gets rock moves, he gets ground moves, he gets, of course, steel moves. He gets, like, Sludge Bomb for absolutely no reason. He gets Explosion. He gets Ally Switch, Body Press. He gets Iron Defense, so you can do Iron Defense Body Press stuff. We've already seen how good Iron Defense Body Press stuff has been in the meta now, so maybe that's a mode that you can go. He just gets so many moves, you know, Brutal Swing, Stomping Tantrum. He gets even Icy Wind for no reason. He gets all the punches. He just gets so many moves. And of course, Meteor Mash being a 90 base power, but only 90 accuracy. Steel move is decent too, though Iron Head is probably just the more consistent and better option. I think Metagross is going to see quite a bit of play at the beginning. I think later on it'll start dropping, but it just depends on how people are using it as a Terra option and how well it does into Hisuian Arcanine and Incineroar. So, oh, and how it does into the other threat, which is Urshifu. It does good against Tornadus already, but the Urshifu is going to be a little bit of a struggle for it. So, yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how Metagross is going to do. I think it is going to be a good Pokemon. Oh, and don't forget, it also has to fight, you know, Iron Hands. But it does get ground coverage, but will it be enough? Next, we have Latias. I mean, it's bulky, right? But Flutter Mane just exists. Iron Hands, it does okay into. I don't know. It just, Levitate is always going to be decent. I just don't think it's good enough. Dragon and Psychic, okay typing. It does have a lot of weaknesses. It dies to, you know, Sucker Punch from King Gambit. It's not great into Incineroar. It just has a lot not going for it, and same with Latios, so his stats are a little bit different as his special attack is much higher, but just the same exact situation. it's just not the greatest Pokemon. Once again, Fluttermane exists. You know, it's just gonna be a rough ride with them. Rampardos, terrible Pokemon. 165 base attack, though 50 defense, 60 special, or 60 defense, 50 special defense, 97 HP on a 58 speed isn't the greatest either. He does get the sheer force, so the amount of damage this dude outputs with something like Head Smash is insane. And he gets some coverage moves like Zen Headbutt, which isn't the greatest, like Brick Break. Once again, since he has sheer force, Brick Break doesn't break the screens, but it's gonna do a lot more damage. He has moves. Like, he has moves. Does he not get a ground besides Bulldoze? I think Bulldoze is his only ground move, huh? But he gets Thunder and Thunderbolts, but he doesn't get, like, Stomping Tantrum? Interesting. He's gonna do a lot of damage. He's not gonna see any play. I might try him out. Why not? We got Bastiodon, who is not that great. He got sturdy and soundproof, so he can't be put to sleep with Sing. But he just doesn't really do anything. His attack is 52. His special attack's 57. He is bulky as all heck, though his HP is only 60. He does get Wide Guard. He gets Fissure, so maybe if you want to go for a full Fissure team, this could be another Pokemon to run next to your Ting Lu and your Dondozo. So who knows? It could be a fun Pokemon to use. I really like his design. It sucks that he's so bad. Next we have Superior, who hasn't been in the game since Gen 7, but he has Contrary Leaf Storm, which is always going to be a lot of damage, and if you can't deal with it, it could take over a game, though he only has 75 special attack and 75 HP with 95 defenses and 113 speed. It adds up pretty quickly, especially if you use something like Eerie Impulse on him. Eerie Impulse plus, you know, Leaf Storm could just start outputting a ton of damage, because he is decently fast, but I just don't think does enough. I just don't think he does enough, honestly. Contrary is always going to be good, but just not good enough here. Emboar also hasn't been in since Gen 7. He has Reckless, which he gets like Flare Blitz and Head Smash, but he's going to take so much recoil on those that is it even worth using. Blaze is okay. His stats are 123 attack, 111 HP are good. His defenses and speed are terrible. So much wasted on his special attack. You hate to see it. Emboar, meh. Next we have Zeb Striker, who actually has 3 really good abilities. He has Lightning Rod, Motor Drive, and Sap Sipper, so all those are actually useful. Motor Drive could be really good with Double Discharge Team if you want to do something like that, though he only has 80 special attack and not good defenses and no good HP, but he has 116 speed, which used to be decent, but now is not so good. Also hasn't been in since Gen 7. Zeb Striker, not going to see any play. Hot take. Okay. This is Whimsicott. Sword and Shield, Whimsicott, lots of usage. Very good Pokemon. Chlorophyll, of course. Not good because you got Prankster. I've seen Infiltrator on ladder before, which was really annoying because I set up a substitute, and then he Moonblasted me, and I realized he didn't have Prankster. So yeah, Prankster, obviously, with Tailwind. It gets Tailwind, because why not? Oh, you can't see that. It gets Tailwind. Moonblast. Memento could also be useful in certain situations. It also gets, like, Leech Seed, which is good, and Endeavor is really, really good when you have Focus Sash, because then you're just making them 1 HP. So it has a lot of usefulness. It also gets Charm. It gets Attract, which isn't as useful, especially at the Paradox, because they don't have natures. It gets Beat Up. So it used to beat up Terrakion, but now there's even a better option to beat up, and has been beat up in previous regulations, and that's Annihilate. So I think we could see something like a Beat Up, Annihilate, Whimsicott, Tailwind teams. But it also gets Trick Room, because they were like, you know what, I guess Tailwind, let's just give it both. Let's just do it. It also gets fake tears, so you can power up your Flutter main from doing whatever it wants. It also gets Helping Hand, which is just gonna clap them cheeks. And then, you know, we get like Taunt, you know, and it's faster, did I say? It's faster than Tornadus, so it has that going for it. Its defenses aren't very good, and its special attack's also not very good, which is the only downside to this Pokemon. It gets Grassy Glide if you really want to feel that way. It also gets Switcheroo if you remember giving Red Card to these Gigantamax Pokemon and then attacking them. It also gets Worry Seed that can get rid of some of the bad abilities that you might have, or get rid of some of the really good abilities Urshifu that your opponent might have. And it gets Tickle, so it can lower both of the attack and the defense of the opponent if you want to do that, instead of getting just rid of 2 attack stats. It also gets Play Rough. It gets Hurricane. If you're doing a rain team, you can go with that. It gets Endure, and we already know it gets the Endeavor, so you can do that. It gets U-Turn, because why not? It just kind of gets everything. It just gets everything except Sleep Powder, pretty much. If it got Sleep Powder, this would be the most broken mon of all time. It's gonna be everywhere. Chinchino, terrible Pokemon. 95. It can hit 5 times with all of its moves like Rock Blast and stuff, but unless they give it Population Bomb, that's not good. And Uniclus, he could be decent. He has Overcoat and he has Regenerator, and Magikarp's not really that great right now. This is not really that much damage over time stuff, but Overcoat and Regenerator are really good. He has pretty good special attack. His defenses are mad. They used to be considered good, but 110 HP and only 30 speed allows him to set up Trick Room. If he keeps expanding Force, he could be pretty decent, and he gets Ally Switch. Then he gets like Grass Knot. He has a lot of coverage moves, a lot of good sidekick moves as well, including Skill Swap, so you can give something else Overcoat or Regenerator. So Reuniclus, I think people will try it at the beginning. I just don't think it'll stick. Galvantula is absolutely terrible. All of his abilities are terrible. His speed's okay. He can set up some sticky webs, I guess, but he's just terrible. Nobody's gonna use him. Golurk, also terrible. He does get Iron Fist and No Guard, though they don't really do too much for him because he just doesn't really have anything. His stats are also really meh, and Flutter Mane exists, so Golurk, he's gonna sit on the bench. Cobalion. Okay, Cobalion Justified. This is where the beat-up strategies come in. People have done Cobalion beat-up as well. 90 attack is not great, but the defense is huge. 129 and 72 with 108 speed and 91. He is, however, weak to Iron Hands, but he does get Coaching, which could be really good. I think Coaching is going to have a huge resurgence because I think there's going to be more Pokemon that get it, but we'll see. He gets like Smart Strike, so he can't miss. He also gets Quick Attack. He gets Sword Dance, Iron Head, Close Combat. So he gets a lot of really good moves. And you can even go like Helping Hand, Quick Guard if you really wanted to too. I think Cobalion will see some usage. I think it's just generally a decent Pokemon. So yeah. Terrakion, like I said, this was the main Pokemon that you use for the beat-up strategy. 129 attack is why. Has decent defenses with 91. And then 108 speed, the same speed that we just saw. Its weakness is that it is fighting in rock. It means it has a lot, and I mean a lot of weaknesses, but that gets rectified with Terrestrialization. It is weak to Flutter Mane and Iron Hands without that Terrestrialization though, so that is going to be a struggle for it. It gets a lot of good moves. Of course, a +4 Rock Slide is always going to do tons of damage. And yeah, we'll see what else it gets. It does get the Coaching. I don't think this is really a good usage for Coaching though. Virizion has seen some play, though I don't think it's as good as the other ones. Only 90 attack. Its defense is not very good. It has 129 special defense and 108 speed still, but it's just never been as good. Leaf Blade is always going to be decent though. It's a really good option. It can crit more reliably. Sacred Sword, but they all get Sacred Sword, I believe. So, except Terrakion, I don't think he gets Sacred Sword. But If you got boost, Sacred Sword doesn't do any more damage, so it doesn't really matter. But Virizion, I don't think he's really going to see too much play. I think the other ones will see more. Now, Meowstick is interesting, because Meowstick male gets Prankster. And Prankster, we all know, is pretty decent. It's not bad. Is this the male? Yeah, this is the male. So he gets like the most random moves, but he gets Fake Out, right? And Fake Out is a big deal. And there was another move he gets. He gets like Yawn, which could be good. Oh man, what was the move I was thinking of? Skill Swap. There we go. Skill Swap. So this is the only Pokemon that gets Skill Swap and has Prankster, I believe. I could be wrong. And you can Skill Swap your Prankster onto something like a Moongus. So therefore, you are just sporing with Prankster. And that is always going to be really good, though. Then you have no offensive pressure on the board. So it's just kind of a gimmick, but it could be a really fun strategy to use. Malamar. I think Malamar has missed his chance to be really, really good. I think in the first 2 or 3 regulations, Malamar could have been really good. Of course, it has that contrary with the superpower. It's really good into Intimidate. It has decent defenses. Like, special defense is pretty bad. Speed's pretty bad. But its defense is okay, and its attack's okay. The weakness now is it's really weak to Flutter Mane. So Flutter Mane could just hit this thing with a Moonblast, and it's pretty much over. It can never really hit it back either. It doesn't really get too much that hits Flutter Mane. So Malamar's kind of lost it, but I love Malamar. It's Incineroar, isn't it? It's a 3-time world champion, best Intimidate user of all time. There's a case to be made that Hisuian Arcanine is actually now the new Incineroar. I don't know. It's going to be really cool to see that matchup in the first official tournament, to see which of these two can come out on top, because it used to be Arcanine, right? Arcanine, best Intimidate user of all time. It was so good. Boom. In 2018, Incineroar was given his hidden ability. It was Intimidate. Arcanine's usage went down to 0. Like, I'm not even joking. It went down to 0. And Arcanine's rose all the way up and became the most used Pokemon, with having over 80% usage in World's Day 2 in 2018. So, is Arcanine taking back the reins? Is he like, it's done? This is my house? He does get the rock, so he can go for rock slides, which, regular Arcanine can't do. So that might give it the edge. But will we keep seeing the, choice band sets, or are we going to see clear amulet sets maybe to help counteract these Incineroar teams? I don't know. I'm really excited to see, though. It's going to be a really cool interaction seeing the two. But of course, Incineroar is insane. 115, 95, 90, 90, 60, and he has 80 just if you want to snarl. So insane Pokemon. Absolutely insane. Primarina is another Pokemon that I think could have been absolutely insane early on. I think it still has a chance of being pretty good. Liquid Voice is going to be good all the time because it's Pixelate for water, right? It's just going to make its Hyper Voice so much better. It also has its own move, which is a 90 base water attack. But if it gets Scald, then Scald will obviously be used before it. It also gets Moonblast. Its typing is really good. It doesn't have the best stats. Its defense is only 74. It's going to be a little bit of a rough matchup against Iron Hands. But it does have 126 special attack, so it can do quite a bit back into it. It also has a lot of supportive moves, and also it has Perish Song. So another one that I think Leaf will be loading up into his game as soon as he can. Next, we have Toucannon, who hasn't been in since his debut. He does get Sheer Force, but he gets Skill Link. And he gets Beak Blast, which is heats up its beak. These are for the people who don't know, who didn't play Gen 7. And any Pokemon making direct contact with this Pokemon gets burned. And he has 100 base attack with that move. like, that's really good. He has 120 base attack. His defenses aren't very good, and he's really slow, and his HP's not great, but I think he could be one of those Pokemon that people just use to have a good time. Skill Link, once again, is good. He gets, like, Rock Blast and stuff, so you can hit a bunch of times. If you really want to go with Sheer Force just to power up those moves, I don't know how it works with Beak Blast, though. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. I think he could be fun to use. I really liked him back in Generation 7. I used him a little bit and had some fun with it, so. Next is El Creamy, and El Creamy is a fantastic Pokemon. We see it do really well at the end of Sword and Shield in that Palkia team. It has Sweet Veil, which prevents itself and its allied Pokemon from falling asleep, which is very, very, very good. But it also has an ability so you can't taunt it or taunt the other Pokemon or go for the Encore or anything like that. It has 10 million different forms. But here's the move that matters the most. Decorate. The user sharply raises the target's attack and special attack. So that's 2 stages on attack and special attack for its partner Pokemon. That is absolutely insane. It has 75 defense, 121 special defense, 110 attack, and only 65. So it's not the bulkiest Pokemon in the world, and that's one of the downsides to it. I think it will be decent against Iron Hands, however, being only a fairy type, but it is also the lightest it can be. So actually, it doesn't do good against Iron Hands, does it? Because it's just going to get heavy slammed. But we'll see. Maybe in Trick, we'll see. Next, we have Duraludon. So Duraludon, early on in Sword and Shield, saw a lot of usage with the Salt Vest, and of course the Stalwart, because there was a lot of Follow Me going on. And it has decent stats, except for its 50 special defense and 70 HP. Like, middle of the road, 120 special attack, 115 defense is pretty good. It's not bad. I wish it was heavier, because then you could do heavy metal stuff, but you can't. Like, he does get heavy slam, but it just doesn't do anything. He also gets iron defense, which could be decent. Probably not. And body press. But those probably aren't going to do anything. He could be decent. I think he could step in and start playing a role right away. Because now he gets Eviolite support, so it essentially makes his special defense 75, and his defense absolutely massive. So he could play a role with Terrestrialization into maybe a poison type, or maybe you go into, fire, something like that, just so Flutter Mane's not hitting you too hard and you're not weak to Iron Hands. He could be very, very good. You also don't want to be weak to Urshifu, so I guess fire would not be the choice. I think that he could be decent, but he also now evolves. He evolves to Archaludon. We don't know how good this Pokemon's going to be. I know the abilities are out there, but I forgot what they were. Stalwart's probably still going to be his hidden ability, and probably still going to be the one that you want to use. He gets Stamina now. So people were theorizing Stamina plus using Population Bomb to get +6 right away, and then just body pressing stuff. But once again, we don't know what his stats are looking like. I'm thinking if his defense is 130 or more, I think that is a huge, big problem, and it's going to be a very scary strategy. I think he's going to be a lot slower, though. And we'll see if his special defense goes up, because that's going to be the real downfall of this Pokemon, is whether or not he has the special defense to take an attack or two. But I'm excited to see what it does. Next we have Iron Leaves. This Pokemon's already also in the game. Of course, it got the Quark Drive. It has 130 attack, which is really good. It has good defenses, really good speed, and decent HP. The problem comes with its typing. It's Grass and Psychic typing. I think that's going to hold it back a lot. It does get Solar Blade, so in the sun it's decent, but if we look up here again, if we look at this, it says Quark Drive is boosted in electric terrain. So it having Solar Blade is kind of counter intuitive, I guess. It does get close combat. Psyblade, of course, is really good. Sacred Sword still. It gets Sword Dance. So it gets a lot of the same stuff. Gets Quash, apparently. It could be good. It's just its typing is really, really, really holding it back, and that's kind of a shame. If this was grass steel instead, I think it would be an insane Pokemon. But unfortunately, grass Psychic is just not it. But maybe with a booster energy in the sun, you're doing some solar blades. Maybe you could do a ton of damage, and maybe that's the strat. But I think it's a lot to try to work in. Next we have Walking Wake, and this Pokemon has the opposite problem. It is Water Dragon type, which is notoriously one of the best types in the game because it's only weak to Fairy and Dragon. So it's a very, very, very strong typing because it just does so much. It just does so much. As photosynthesis, and you would think, okay, it's a water type of photosynthesis. You don't want the sun up. But then, my friends, you go look at Hydro Steam, 80 base water attack that says the user blasts the target with boiling hot water. This move's power is not lowered in harsh sunlight, but rather boosted by 50%. Boosted. It's already boosted by photosynthesis. Now the attack is boosted by sunlight. And Flamethrower is also boosted by sunlight and also covers the things that are good against the water attack. So you have the perfect coverage of the fire water, right? And you can have a dragon move as your last move just for that more of a coverage. And you would think, okay, well, they must have made him kind of weak. 109 speed, 125 special attack, 91 defense, 83 special defense, relax, 99 HP. He gets Scald if you just decide you didn't want to run that. You could run Scald, you could run Weather Ball. Weather Ball is technically, I think, 100 base power if the sun is out, so that could be useful. Terra Blast on Terra Fairy is going to be really good. He gets Surf if you want to do surf stuff for some reason. If you're just like a mad lad, he gets Snarl. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? This Pokemon is absolutely insane, and I don't think enough people are thinking about it right now. I just really don't think enough people are like taking into consideration how insane this Pokemon actually is. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Next we have Raging Bolt. So we know that he gets his like signature move is a Sucker Punch that's electric type. That's going to be really good. It's interesting to see what his stats are going to be. So if he's more physically based, then I think that has a chance of being really good. But if he's like Raikou, where he's very especially based, then I think it's going to be a real drop off for him. His design is pretty decent. I do like him. I hope he's going to be as big as the Walking Wake, because Walking Wake is gigantic, so I'm hoping he's just going to be as big. Really cool Pokemon though. Dragon and Electric is actually pretty decent type, you know. Zekrom is not the best Pokemon, but he has seen use in the past, and now with Terrestrialization you can get out of that ground weakness and that fairy weakness that you have, so I think it'll be pretty decent. It'll be interesting how much it does with that Sucker Punch to something like Flower Mane. Now that I can hit it neutral even if it terrestrializes, where Sucker Punch does lose a lot of that. And then we have Iron Crown as the last one. So he's going to be Psychic Steel, which is the same exact typing that we have on Metagross. But where are his stats going to line up in comparison to something like Metagross? Metagross is already a really good Pokemon. It already has a lot going for it. Will he have Sucker Punch? I don't think that I forgot what his main attack does. Like, it's decent, but I just don't think it'll be as good as Metagross. But we'll have to see what stats, because if he has like 145 attack stat, it's over, right? Even if it's 135 and he has huge speed, there's going to be cases to use him over something like the Metagross, especially if you throw a booster on there and you're getting +1, or you could just throw the Clear Amulet on him and go for something like Sword Dance and stuff. So if he's following that kind of trend, but I think he's going to be a special attacker because I think they're switching. I don't know. I'm just really excited to see what these stats look like. Like the DLC is like 3 days away, right? So I'm super excited for it. And there's 2 more Pokemon that aren't here, maybe even 3, but I'm not going to spoil the other one. We're going to get a Terrakion future form, and we're going to get an Entei past form. We have to, right? The Entei form is actually drawn in the book in the game. So Fire Dragon is going to be an insane typing. It all depends on what moves it gets. If it keeps extreme speed for some reason, oh my god, that thing is going to be absolutely insane. That typing is so good. It's good against almost everything. It's just a really, really good typing. So I'm hopeful for that. And Terrakion, if it keeps with this, he's going to be Rock and Steel, which is really weak to Iron Hands, but also a really good offensive typing. So it could be a really, really good Pokemon. And I'm hoping that it is. I really like Terrakion's design, so I'm interested to see what it's going to look like in the future. The Quark Drive is always just going to be worse than Photosynthesis. Until we get Miraidon, then I think it might just be better. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see, because Flutter Rate is just so good. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know this is a long one, and especially for a return, this is a pretty long video. Like I said, there's going to be another video up on Wednesday where we're going to be actually making some teams using some of these Pokemon. So I hope that you stop in and watch that video as well. We're going to be streaming the DLC right when it drops at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday the 13th. So if you want to come and join with that, the link will be down below so you can go follow the Twitch channel. I'll be streaming Monday through Thursdays with extended days based on like whatever. Like this Friday I'll most likely be streaming because the DLC just came out, and maybe even Saturday too. We're going to be playing a lot of viewer battles. We're going to be doing a lot of casual battles, like because ranked is not going to be up until the 1st. So we're going to just be using a lot of the new Pokemon. We're going to be making some really weird teams and just trying some stuff out and having a good time. There will be Incineroar there, so make sure that you're ready for that. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you guys do thumbs up the video and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys Wednesday.